Alright. Hello everyone. Let's get right into it. We're doing an Ayleid ruin today, and it's actually, hopefully, one of the very last one that's still unfinished for Skyblivion. We're starting with the first cell. So it's a 2-cell dungeon. And it's in the Great Forest, and it's also tied to the Collector quest. Is that actually the name? The Umbacano quest line, if you're familiar with that one. Where basically he tasks you with, yes, it's called the Collector. So he basically tasks you to collect several Ayleid statues and sell them to him. Actually, it's an optional quest line, so you can do. Yeah, probably. I just saw on the claim sheet there is one more, I think, but maybe Hinomoto is gonna do it. But yeah, we are aiming to make the Ayleid ruins containing these Ayleid statues a lot more interesting. Not just compared to how they were in Oblivion, but also compared to some of the other more regular, I'd say, Ayleid ruins. So I've done a lot of work already on the second cell, which I will show you a bit later. I think you saw a glimpse at the beginning. Now I'm doing the first cell, which I basically Frankensteined together from some other Ayleid ruins. Because at this point I've done too many and I can't be bothered to do them all myself. So I stole and copied a lot from other Ayleid ruins and kinda sewn them together. So it's gonna be our task to kinda blend everything together so it doesn't look like it's copied together from several other dungeons, and also make sure that the biome is reflected everywhere. So it's in the Great Forest, and the players should be aware that it's all of that foliage, greenery from the Great Forest has seeped into this long abandoned ruin. Love the way Skyblivion at Skylights with outdoor scenery really integrates, differentiates each dungeon. Yeah, we're most of us at least. There are some stern opponents, but most of us love Skylights. We jokingly call Skyblivion Skylight Blivion, because we never get enough of Skylights. And yeah, we tend to really often make them big, let you actually see the exterior. Some people are bothered then that obviously that would mean that in the exterior you would have all these holes and ravines, and it doesn't really correspond to the exterior, because you can never really see those holes in the ground and see those old ruins beneath you. But that is, I think, a downside we're gonna have to live with. Yeah. So just to explain, basically the first cell is gonna be your standard Ayleid ruins, so just the normal rectangular rooms. Then I thought of doing a little cave section actually. So basically at the very end of the first cell, you cannot get through the normal entrance, so you're gonna have to take a detour through a cave section, which I am going to fill with Spriggans, because we actually are underutilizing our Spriggans, and I want to use them a bit more. When you get back into the Ayleid ruin, you get down here in a small elevator section, and at the end you come to the second cell, which I am going to show you in detail a bit later. Quick sneak peek, it's a big one. And at the very end you'll find the Ayleid ruin. It's still also work in progress, so like the beginning is still very open, and I want to have a loop back here, not a whole loop back to the beginning of this cell, but to the beginning of the first cell, so you don't have to backtrack. All right. While I was working on a fort, I was told by 2 people that I should stop. But when was this, Glitz? That must have been years ago, because it wasn't me that told you that. That was when the design goal, I think, of a lot of the dungeons was a lot different. By the way, here you can see, if you saw in the last stream, a sudden big naked Jeremy. It's used to tie all these soundscape, acoustic space, sorry, markers, and then you can just hide them all at once. But at the end, you shouldn't forget to delete them, the Jeremies, otherwise they jump scare you. Okay, I was currently working on this little cave section. So you're gonna come in here, you have this little waterfall scene, and a Spriggan tree, which we can later also use for a Spriggan ambush, I guess. I'm gonna put them in here somewhere at the end and then ambush the player, I guess. All right, let's get to doing some caves. Yeah, I mean, Riesler, obviously, he still is not a fan of Skylights. His nickname is Riesler No Skylights. Something? I forgot. But he's no longer very active in the project, or not at all, I think. But every time he's active, he tells me to stop doing Skylights. But I do not listen to him. Not so much. I mean, they show what you would, like the biome, what you would see in the exterior, obviously. But no, there's not going to be holes in the exterior showing the interior. That's not really possible. It's obviously maybe not super realistic then on the outside, but I think the pros outweigh the cons here. It's such a cool feeling in an interior, not just because of the lighting it provides, and the shadowcaster you can put in there, but also at least I feel it really blends the interior with the exterior. So you do get the feeling that you're actually inside a cave in that particular region where you're in. And that, in that regard, Skylights help a lot, I think. did hear that in Skywind they do, at least that's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true. They try to avoid skylights, or at least like these large open skylights, because the player can levitate, and then you would really notice that the skylights, you know, are just pretty much for the visual sake and not actual exits from a cave. Which I get, but it kind of sucks that you then cannot use that visual tool. So thank God we don't have levitation. Would ruin my dungeons. Yes, it would. It would. Yeah. It's not just. I mean, one of the reasons was definitely that they put cities in their own wall spaces, and levitation would mean you could go over the walls. But yes, in other instances as well, because especially in interiors, you just you want to very much guide the player and know where he can and where he cannot go, and with levitation that's just hard to control. It does open up obviously a lot of gameplay opportunities, and you can play around with that, so I'm very interested how the peeps at Skywind are handling this, but yeah, it does block you from using a lot of tools. That is a bit much. getting epic here. The music. Alternative fix for Skylights would be to have them show up in wall space too, but permanently give the player levitation so they can't fall through the hole and skip the dungeon. Now that is a great idea. Let me suggest it to the others. Skyblivion delayed to 2028. By the way, we do actually have, I think, a dungeon. I'm not sure if Ryan or Jero made it, where we kind of joke about, you know, a lot about dungeons having these giant sky holes. There's a courier down there who fell down there with his horse, so he has a note in his inventory that you can read. It basically says, you know, like, holes are opening up across the entire country of Cyrodiil, and people should be aware when they're out in the wilderness that they could fall down these giant ravines. So we're self-aware like that. I believe a lot of skylights in Skywind that just blocked off by rebar, cramped, cracked rock grades. It's a couple that have corresponding hole in the wall, so you can exit the skies, but not many. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because it's very tedious, I think, to make that correspond in the overworld. But that's cool. After all, the Elder Scrolls game is about, if not suspension of disbelief. That is true. By the way, I don't know, maybe it's because I was talking about the courier who fell down that hole before. I don't know if we ever said that anywhere, but we have, I'm not sure, it's not implemented yet, but we've written the entries. We've like written a whole lot more of Blackhorse Courier entries. So like in the base game, there's only very few Blackhorse Courier editions that you get. Yeah, the newspaper, exactly. I think there's one telling you, you know, that the Emperor's been killed. There's, I think there's something for the Thieves Guild. I'm not sure, but it's not a whole lot. So we've written a couple of ones that basically update once you've done major quests or quest lines. I'm not sure they're implemented yet, but that shouldn't take too long, hopefully, because it's basically just enabling them, I think, once the corresponding quest is done. I feel like that's a neat feature because it makes the world more believable. That when you actually, you know, for example, I don't know, defeat Manimarco during the Mages Guild questline, that there's actually at least the newspaper talking about it. The one Rin talked about. Which one do you mean, Glitz? Or do you mean the one with the ravines opened up? Because that one I saw, yeah. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I saw that one. That was funny. Mine are pretty much all built in this kit bashy way. We do have some that are using kit pieces, but I'm wondering now if we have any that are exclusively using those. But we're bound to have, I think, some older ones. Yeah, that's why the nav mesh is, because obviously this is horrible, the nav mesh, because normally you'd seed through it, because the kit pieces are all like here, for example, you can see through them, and just, you know, nav mesh just want a kit bash from a top-down view. It's hard when you have like a rock sticking in your face, but screw the nav meshes. I'm sorry I said that. I love you guys. But yeah, with caves especially, I think they do profit a lot from this kit bash system of doing it. Because caves, I mean, they are a lot more random, right, than a normal kit piece would provide you. Do you know what Skyblivion is doing for vampire dreams? Is it still just a text box? I actually have no idea. I would guess though that it is a text box. But that is something, because we're currently actually doing something very cool where we're like, since we're, you know, getting close to release, and there's features that we would still like to see or do, but that are not gonna make it into the initial release because there's just no time. But that doesn't mean we don't want to still do them, and that's actually a good idea to actually realize those vampire dreams, so you'd actually be teleported, I don't know, into a dream world, and then just basically what is described in the text box, to kind of replicate that in maybe a quest or something. That's actually a good idea. I might write that down as a post-release update or something. But yeah, a lot of cool ideas are being shared that we want to do. in later updates, because we're not just doing, you know, the DLCs and bug fixes once the game is out. I mean, those are going to be done as well, obviously, but we really want to add some features that didn't make the cut, or that we're just thinking of now or after the release. One idea I had, for example, which should be doable rather soon after release, so I don't expect this to take very long, if obviously it's approved and people actually want to do it, is treasure maps. So I don't know if you've played Elder Scrolls Online, but there you have these treasure maps that have like sketches of significant landmarks, and based on the sketch you have to actually find out where that is in the exterior and find it. And if you have the corresponding treasure map in your inventory, an actual buried treasure will appear there, and you can loot that. So I want to do something similar, for example, to kind of, you know, provide incentive to go exploring. I always love more incentives to just run around, not just for dungeons, but also the exterior. Thank you. Yeah, the really cool part, hopefully you'll agree, comes after the first cell. I'm really happy how the second cell turned out. I'll show you a bit later. We'll actually maybe do some work on the second cell as well, because I don't think we'll finish. We'll come close to finishing it today, but hopefully we'll make a dent into it. What this is, I mean, I just call it level design, really. I'm not sure if other terms might apply as well. You mean you've never seen level design, or do you mean this kind of, I don't know, kit bashing that I'm doing that you've never seen? Oh, sure, yeah. Well, then it's very cool that you've tuned in. Yeah, I cannot really tell you if it's level design works very similar in other engines or not, because I only really have experience with the creation engine and the creation kit. But yeah, it's super easy to get into, by the way, so with the creation kit, because there's a very handy tutorial on, well, it's no longer hosted really on the but there's a very handy tutorial made by Bethesda themselves, explaining you the basics. You can just follow it step by step to make your own first dungeon, and that can lead you into doing stuff like this very quickly. No, there's no coding involved. None at all. So there is I did learn how to script, because I'm not a coder at all. I have no clue about that. There is a script language that Bethesda uses called Papyrus, and that you can also learn rather easily, I'd say. Because it's a very easy to understand scripting language. Well, that's just muscle memory. So on the Discord, you, at least I think it was you, yeah, that was me, said that Tromba, I don't know how to pronounce it, will hint at Shivering Isles. That is true. D actually, I Q8'd it, but D made the original design. He put in a reference in there. Will there be other dungeons that hint at their role in DLCs like Underpole Cave? Not that I'm aware of. I'm also not too sure if there's a lot of dungeons actually that are accessible in the base game and then, you know, play a larger role in the DLC. I know there's Underpole Cave. We're actually thinking of, this might sound like a bummer, but actually thinking of, because it's already done, Hinimoto, the guy who made a lot of our Ayleid runes as well, he made a really cool dungeon after, I think D started it, and then Hinimoto finished it off, and then made some more cells, and it's really a cool dungeon. But we're thinking of maybe closing it off in the base game, because there's no real point in going in there without the quest. So it would maybe feel a bit disappointing if you go in there. It's a really cool dungeon, but there's nothing you can really do in there apart from maybe killing some enemies. And then when you do Knights of the Nine, you return there, and then suddenly there's a quest. So well, thank you. Actually maybe show you what Tromba or whatever it's, however it is pronounced, actually looks like. Let me save here. All right. So I will do this with detection off. Or will I? Yeah, because I want to get through it a bit faster. So Tromba is maybe also good to show because it's not tied to any quest. By the way, there's a navmesh arrow. This troll is not supposed to stand in that area. He's actually supposed to... This is a welkin troll, by the way. So we put them in a spot where there's a lot of welkined rocks. So it's actually... Oh, our ores are still broken. It's actually supposed to stand in this spot, but whatever. But yeah, Tromba is not tied to any quest location, so it's one of our, I guess, regular vanilla Ayleid runes. It's actually, I think, because some of the Ayleid runes that are not tied to a quest line actually still use the layout of the original Oblivion dungeon. But hopefully with the additions we've made and the better lighting and cluttering and whatnot, it's still... no, a significant upgrade. That's why when I was working on my castles, I put the guards in navmesh jail. They kept fucking up my stuff when I wanted to. Yeah, you gotta tell the navmeshes to navmesh these little secret areas. Otherwise, they sometimes don't find them. This, by the way, is a cool little ambush scene I scripted. Let me. Here, I need to turn off on detection and just kill that. So we have this boss sitting there. It doesn't work correctly because he's got the wrong armor weapon equipped. But normally he like points his weapon at you or bashes his shield and then wakes up his minions. It's a pretty cool scene when it works. Yeah, that floating is a Skyrim vanilla issue. When Draugr don't have weapons equipped, they kind of float. I think there's mods to fix that though, which should be working for Skyblivion as well. This is actually the spot I was telling you about. This is, you can actually activate this plaque and it tells you there's a space for a sword to be placed. The inscription on the tablet reads Varlor av Tamye Varlor av Morilata. I probably butchered that, but I think it hints to the sword from Shivering Isles. I forgot the name, vampire, you can write it in chat which weapon that actually is. Yeah, so this is hinting that it was actually placed there before it got to the Shivering Isles. Do I do this for work? No. Oh yeah, Dawnfang, Duskfang, that's the sword name. No, I don't do this for work. This is I picked up this hobby almost, wow, more than 2 years ago. But no, it's I do something completely different. I am actually a lawyer, doing this in my spare time. So anyone can really pick this up. You don't have to work in the gaming industry. Okay, enough of Tromba. Let's go to... Speaking of not tied to quest, I do wonder what you guys will do with Lord Vlindral's tower. Wait, you got me. What is Lord Vlindral's tower? Oh, that steals Knights of the Nine as well. True. Gotta be honest, don't know. I would have to check. So let's go to the dungeon we're building right now. So bear in mind, yeah, there's gonna be holes and like not cluttered areas, no FX yet and stuff, and it's also a lot of it is copied from other dungeons, which I or other level designers have done. So I really gotta blend the style together, because you know, level designers use different styles really. There's still the room ones are still not, as you can see here, not finalized. That's why you also will see a lot of shadowcasters turning off and on, because room ones are not done and scripts are not in place. Yeah, that's gotta be deleted. Got some Ayleid skeleton lying there. You can loot his armor actually. The skin looks very strange here. Oh, yeah. So, and then here we will get to the cave section we're currently building. And we'll face off some Spriggans. And we get to... This is an elevator. I hope you don't mind the occasional elevator, because I know that not everybody loves elevators. They're like one of the most hated things in Mass Effect, but we do try to keep them very minimal and short. So this will be the entrance to the second cell. And now I hope it doesn't crash, because it often crashed for me. Yeah. For some reason, teleport going from here to the second cell crashes my game. This will be something that Robert, our famous fixer, will need to have a look at. Oh, it's a good game. Yes, Robert, fix it. Alright. But now it should work to get to the second cell, which I can show you, where I've done some significant work the last few days, and I'm really happy how it turned out. So you will spawn somewhere. I still need to do the whole entrance section. This will not be a lever when it's done. It's gonna be some Ayleid switch or something. get you up there. And then you get to see the lost ruins of Moranda. Please don't faint. Can then also, hello Jeremy, get to exploring the ruins a bit. There's gonna be enemies obviously and everything. And this is, by the way, this is a really cool thing some of our developers have done. It's basically using the Golden Claw puzzle from Skyrim and making an Ayleid version of it. And basically, when you put in a Vala stone in here, you can then turn these wheels to lock in the right symbols, and you'll have to find the right sequence of symbols. And the player will have in this level, for example, he will have to solve this puzzle to get into this tower and to get up there. And then you will be able, so there's nothing done in here yet really, but you will be able to find the puzzle symbols, the right ones. The first one maybe in this room, and then two others in a different section. It's all not implemented yet. But then you will be able to get into the tower. This is also not set up correctly. And go up the elevator. Here I'm still thinking, maybe tell me your opinion in chat. If this elevator ride is too long, maybe I'll change the script a bit to make the elevator go up faster. Because I know that some people don't like long elevator rides. Maybe you can, you can, you know, I don't know, admire the scenery a bit. Yeah, a bit faster would probably not be a bad idea. And then you're faced with another closed door, so you'll have to go through this corridor. That would be a cool idea, Skysword, to add enemies for the elevator ride. However, the issue is that navmesh won't work, because it's a moving platform and navmesh cannot move with it. So, and not a non-navmeshed area cannot really have enemies. That's unfortunately the issue. What would maybe be possible, but it might be frustrating, is to have enemies from the top shoot at you while you're riding up. I'll have to experiment with that. So there's going to be a button here for you to open the last door, and then you can basically get to the throne room of Moranda, where you will find the Ayleid statue that you're looking for here. So we're really trying to make it look like these, like you're not just finding the I don't know, Ayleid torture rooms like in Oblivion, but really lost Ayleid cities that had actually, you know, they had kingdoms here, they had throne rooms, palaces. And then here you will have the palace or whatnot. With the Ayleid statue, which is supposed to stand up there. I don't know why it's down there, but then you can pick it up. And the idea is maybe then after you pick it up, that was my idea for the loop back, that this door actually slides up, not door, sorry, this mural actually slides up, and that you can then get through it. So kind of look like this, and then there's maybe a small, you know, just path and a door leading you back to the first cell, but still need to experiment with that. All right, now we know what we're working on, so let's continue. Slides up, fade away. I'm not sure if that would be easier to implement, obviously fading away, but yeah, very proud how our Ayleid ruins are turning out. I feel like they'll be the most unique dungeon type we have. The big skull. Oh, those are that's an eagle statue, or like the head of an eagle statue. This is, we mostly use, these are all often on walls, and some of these can be used for the puzzle you've seen earlier. So they, when you find them, they actually have the symbol in their beak, which you can you know, memorize to use in the puzzle. This one doesn't have a symbol. This is just for decoration. Yeah, Ayleid ruins are really the most standout dungeon type, I'd say. Although our forts and caves are very cool as well, if I may say so. Riel is very cool. Vilverin is very cool. Hinamoto made some insane ones. So Nanalata is super cool. Miss Karkand. What else? What is that quest? Which I meant. Oh, Linda is also super cool. Can't wait till you actually see that one. Because Hinamoto's the one that really started this whole make Ayleid ruins into lost cities. Ayleid ruins are really made a really interesting, I'd say, progression. So like all of our dungeons at first, they were basically just the Oblivion layout, and improved in you know, any way with lighting or better models, whatnot. But basically really what you saw in Oblivion, you got in Skyblivion. That was how it was, you know, several years ago. And then we really felt that Ayleid ruins should be what the Nordic runes were for Skyrim. So we added a lot of the clutter that you have in Nordic runes. We added variations, or like variants of that, but with Ayleid Fiend, you know. So that's how also the puzzle came to be and whatnot. And then Hinomoto came along and made these insane kit-bashed buildings. And that really inspired us to do these lost cities, really. Which is very unique, because I don't think Skyrim did anything similar as well. Yeah, I'm very glad as well that we did that. Okay, so we're gonna have to make a section here to break through. What do I need here? Oh yeah, right, I need that one piece that I always forget how it's called. This thing here, what's it called? Int art, yeah, and you'd never be able to find that in the object window. This is how this thing looks in the CK, by the way. Pretty massive. Leeches, no, there's not, but I think for the most part we did put leeches. At least I cannot think of leeches outside of Ayleid Ruins. So we really made leeches kind of like, yeah, similar to the Dragon Priests, basically the entombed leaders of the Ayleid dungeon that they're lying in. They're also using the Dragon Priest skeleton, so it was very fitting in that regard. And then we need an arch here. Now we need some bricks to make it look like there was something or broke through here, or at least it collapsed. Yes, I did do Goblin Jim's cave as well. Yeah, it's a big boy cave. I did a lot of, so for the major part of the dungeons I made from scratch are caves. That was also because originally when I joined, that was sorry. The open claims for the most part were caves, I think. Which I get, 'cause caves are probably the least interesting dungeon type. Unless, you know, you can add fort stuff or bandit encampments, that stuff, because just cave, if it's not inhabited by any, let's say, humanoid creatures, you're very limited in what you can do. But it does have its, doing a cave has its advantages over, I'd say, Ayleid ruins and fort, because you're you can just experiment, I'd say, a lot more. You know, if you don't like how something looks, just spam, I don't know, some rocks here, some you know, just move the cave wall a bit. With a fort, you need to look if it's symmetrical, if it kind of makes sense. With a cave, you can be a free spirit, I guess. Out of all the interior types we have, personally, caves are my least favorite. Give me my houses in shops. Yeah, Glitz, by the way, is so we call her our interior decorator, I think, right? Because she has done about 50% or some insane number of our houses. Real estate agent. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. Not interior decorator. Now I got completely lost. There we are. Sorry about that. There we are. I also heavily use, we have some prefab cells that are very, very nice to use. So I can actually show you, I was already talking about the prefabs that Hinomoto made. So these buildings and structures that he made out of individual assets. So these are really, for the most part, individual assets, individual bricks or arches, where he made these insane structures. Few of them are like this bridge, for example, I made, and then sometimes I take his like this for example, I took and made a custom tower that you can see in the dungeon I'm building right now. But yeah, it's all inspired or based off his designs. But Glitz also has a very useful warehouse, which I steal from all the time. It's the Clutter warehouse. So I cannot be bothered anymore to, you know, put down a table, fill it with like books and food and silverware and whatnot. So I don't do that anymore. I just go here and steal it. Yeah, these prefab cells are awesome. We should have done those years ago, and we should have more of them. But yeah, I have one of my own, I think. It's basically just where I put down cave rooms I made, and then people can change them, adapt them, whatnot. It's fun to do. Is there any interesting ones? Oh, that's a cool one, I think. That's a cool one, yeah. I think I used that somewhere. When I was doing the house, I was getting sick of hopping to different houses to find stuff that I thought would fit in the Claymore wagon, so I just made a Clutter warehouse. Yeah, I mean that's like every time I start working on Ayleid ruin, I take, or I Q8, I take all the stuff, the Clutter stuff that I always need. So this is these rows here. Also take these effects, which we use for like the Ayleid chandeliers. And then I can just copy and paste them. It's a lot more efficient than doing it every time from scratch or going to a different dungeon and copying it. Alright, where were we? This is probably one of my most used assets. So in the Discord, my name is actually Shrublord, because I love to use that little shrub and just spam it everywhere. Because it gives like at least in my opinion, it gives like the illusion of, I don't know, moss, greenery, overtaking old ruins or caves. Yes, I'm Mr. Shrublord. I love that thing. Yeah, when you work on a project this long, you're bound to have nicknames. I want that tree. Lost Boy Cavern. I think it was at some point, but especially for caves, we did decide to redo a lot of them, and if I'm not mistaken, it's being redone currently. Yes, it is a work in progress currently. It's not high priority because it does have a hidden quest, but not a real quest, so it's not a blocker, because we're currently really trying to finish all the dungeons that are essential for the quest department, and we're on a very good way to finish all those dungeons rather soonish, I'd say. I've recently counted how many dungeons I worked on for Skyblivion, so that number is not just the ones I did from scratch, but also QAing. It's very hard to I don't know, put that in numbers, because you know, for some dungeons I QA'd, there was very little to do, and then for others it was almost like I did them from scratch. But counting all dungeons that I've made from scratch and QA'd, it's over 50 by now, which yeah is, I never thought when I started modding for Skyrim I would ever do that many dungeons, because I think the first dungeon I ever made for Skyrim, which is a mod on the Nexus, it must have taken me, I think, and it was way smaller than any of the dungeons I made here, probably 3 months. Moranda. I started it. When did I start it actually? I think sometime last week, probably like on Friday last week or something. So this is, I think, the 4th day I'm working on it. Obviously in the weekend I could, you know, spend a lot more time on it than during the week, where I can only do so after work. But yeah, it's already been a couple of hours definitely. But yeah, you just get a lot faster, and also I can copy a lot of stuff I've done somewhere else. So now it doesn't take me as long as it would have when I started out. Okay. Oh yeah, it's same, because I do sometimes watch Crafty Tom's Napper streams as well, and it's insane for me how fast he is and how he doesn't need to think. Because I know how to Napper, because I've only done 2 mods for Skyrim before I joined Skyblivion, but for those 2 I did the Nathmesh myself as well, obviously. So I did some serviceable Nathmesh, I'd say. But obviously I always had to think, okay, how do I avoid doing too many triangles here and there, and he just, you know, kind of intuitively does it. But I guess at some point it just becomes muscle memory. And yeah, here it's very similar. At some point you don't really have to think anymore what buttons to press and whatnot. It just becomes sort of a second nature. Okay. Some more light here. Here, and then we want... I haven't done it here, but what I very often do is... oh, that's the wrong one. When I start a dungeon, or when I start a room, let's say it like that, I mostly, so I do like the basic scene. So what I want to highlight, if it's so here, for example, I started with the tree, right? And then built. So I started the tree and the waterfall basically, and then started building everything else around it. And I always like to first do the lighting, and then based on the lighting, change the layout of the level. And not the other way around. And I also always add the light itself, and after that the light source. So I adapt the light source to the light, if that makes any sense. Because obviously what a lot of people do, or what you can do, is decide first where the light source is gonna be. So I don't know, let's say you put a brazier here. And I don't know, let's say you put it here, and then you kind of have to put the corresponding light at least close to the light source. If it's a shadow caster, you basically have to put it right next to it, because otherwise it's gonna look weird if you have it here. Like, why is the shadow casting to the left from here? That will look weird. And then you're very limited in how you want to light whatever you want to highlight, I guess. So I always feel like it's better to first have the lighting and then try to adapt the light source. Hi and aloha from Hawaii. Well, hi and aloha back to Hawaii. What time is it there? You seem like one of the most talented designers on the team to me. Oh, that's very kind. I don't know if that's true. We do have some very talented level designers on the team. Very different approaches, I'd say. Do you hold a little bit of a grudge over Crafton after he's ruthlessly disabled your entire lovely Doom, Ceiling, and Animal Cast Lester? Yes, I do. I am no longer on speaking terms with Crafty Tom. Out of curiosity, are both the dungeons in the Asani Blackheart quest given the same care as other quest dungeons? I would say so. They are not Ayleid, these huge sprawling Ayleid cities, like here. But I think Ryan made them. He has a different style, and it was also before we made these Ayleid cities. But they're really good. Like some incredible design there as well. So yes, I definitely say they have the same care as other quest dungeons, or even more care. I also did the Asani Blackheart is one of our. We had that fancy term, legacy bosses. Basically, he's one of our scripted bosses. He has like a cool boss fight introduction and mechanic even. That's I did that some months ago, even a year ago. I'm not sure. Me too. I'm also very excited about this. Maglir is... No, unfortunately, Maglir is not a legacy boss. What else? Maybe a wisp. Is there an ETA? I've been out of... Yes, the ETA is still 2025. We cannot give you an exact date. But there's still some stuff to do. So it's not directly around the corner. Because, you know, we don't want to... Because some people have, you know... have been worrying that we're rushing this, but we're not, you know, rushing it in any way. We really want to ship something that is playable, is as feature complete as possible. But at the same time, obviously, we are aiming for that goal we set out. And Kai, our lead developer, always says MVP, right? Which is the most... No, what's... The minimal viable product, right? That's the term. But yeah, it's getting close. It's getting close. But yeah, we're all very excited for this to finally see the light of day. Because it's strange, you know, you work on this so much, and I've only been with the project for a bit over 2 years, but you know, some people have been in here a lot longer. And you do all these you do all this work, and obviously you can show it off inside the team, and you can share it a bit with the community, but obviously not in a way that they can play it, you know, just screenshots. And sometimes you really wish you'd get that positive feedback and you know, people actually enjoying your work. Basically, you want to have the glory of your work in some way, and so we're really excited for people to actually get their hands on this and actually play it, and not just see it for streams or previews. How many people are designing dungeons? How many of the designs are yours? Difficult to say, because there were... Skyblivion had a lot of developers over the years, obviously. You know, people joined and left the project because it's, you know, it's been around for a long time, and it's obviously a volunteer project, so people are... Life happens, and sometimes you don't have the time or motivation or whatnot to work on this anymore. So a lot of dungeons, because obviously the design goals of the project changed over the years, so that also sometimes resulted in dungeons being that were already designed being scrapped, or sometimes only small parts were kept. So currently there's not a whole lot of dungeon designers, but that's also because there's not a whole lot left. Basically, there's me, there's Hinomoto, there's Libero, there's Temryu, there's the Senate, who are actively making dungeons. So it's basically like, I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but it's basically like 5 people right now working on dungeons. And how many of the design are mine? That's also not as easy to say, because only some, because the dungeons I worked on, some of them are entirely my own, and then there's some where I did the QA, and QAing varies very much in how much work it actually was. Sometimes it was just, you know, fixing a few bugs, changing the lighting somewhat. Sometimes it was hours of work and changing the entire layout and whatnot. But including all dungeons that I did any work on, it's, I think, a bit over 50, which would be a fourth of all dungeons, I think, because there's like 200. Who's left work? Oblivion. You mean the Oblivion realms? Yeah, I don't count them as dungeons because they're world spaces. But we've really picked up working on those because they have been like on ice for a long time. But we're making currently really fast progress on them. So 2 people are especially working on them. That's Rebel Size, the lead developer, and Hinamoto, who I showed you earlier, who made those incredible prefabs for the Ayleid ruins. And Glitz is also doing a realm, I think. So there's a couple of people also working on those. Yeah. Yeah, because I was speaking of the legacy bosses before. Let me actually think. I worked on 1 that's completely new and 2 are the old ones. What do you mean old ones? I know that you're working on that one realm you've been showing me, but what's the other 2? Oh, I get it. Okay. There's definitely gonna be more realms than in Oblivion, because in Oblivion, yeah, it was 7, right? There was 7 different realms, and then you've seen them all. I don't know how many it's gonna be in total for us. It's gonna be 13 or something. But that's also something where, depending on how much time we have, we're gonna include more, and if not, because I was talking about this earlier, we're currently doing a lot of brainstorming for features that are not gonna make it into the initial release, that we want to do in later updates. And one of these features would definitely be to maybe add a couple of more Oblivion realms. Yes, definitely. Maybe you went there before. We're currently doing this. There's some really cool ideas being shared. We're definitely not just planning on doing bug fixes and the DLCs. There's definitely gonna be loads of content update once the initial release is out. But we really think, first we gotta have a solid base, and then we can do a lot of this stuff. Probably. It's not my call to make, but I think it's definitely gonna be a good idea, at the end, to also have transparency, what you can expect in the, let's call it, base game, but also what you can expect later on. So I think it's been said before. I hope I'm not the first to break the sad news to you, for example, that it's currently very uncertain that we're gonna have spellcrafting in the initial release, because the person who worked on it is no longer has not been with the project for a long time, and what he did is unfortunately not usable after some Skyrim updates. I'm not sure about the technicalities, but it's definitely something we still want to include. But if it doesn't make it into the initial release, it will definitely be in a post-release update. No, spellcrafting was actually not DLC. It was just tied to the Mages Guild. So once you became the Archmage, you were able to do your own. I think it was tied to that. I don't think there was, like in Morrowind, you could do it from the start with I think mages, but in Oblivion it was tied to the Mages Guild questline. Yeah, it's also, that's true. You can do it in the Wizard's Tower as well. Oh, just once you get into the event, then you can do it already? Okay, I thought you needed to be Archmage. Okay, okay, good to know. Yeah. Yeah, that is also really cool. So you mean the player's leveling progression, right? You don't mean the enemy scaling, if I understand you correctly. Yeah. Yeah, that's the, like the perks and everything is currently being put in game, I think. So maybe we'll have, I'm not sure what the plan is on that, on the remaining dev diaries we're doing. Maybe we'll have a sneak peek into that before release, but I don't, that's just me guessing. I don't really know if we're gonna show that off beforehand. But yeah, I'm really excited about that as well. I think it's a cool kind of marriage of Oblivion's and Skyrim system. I mean, to be honest, if Rob were here, he'd tell you that for modding, so doing mods like this, so just the leveling system, you don't actually have to open the creation kit. You can do that probably better in Xedit, right? Because pretty much the only, well, not the only thing, I guess there's, with quests, that's also easier done in the creation kit, but where you really need the creation kit is the render window, right? Level design. That's not really a good way to do in Xedit, but adding, changing attributes, leveling systems, all that kind of stuff is a lot easier done in Xedit. Always a good place to join if you don't know it for learning about Creation Kit and Xedit stuff is the Arcane University Discord. It's affiliated with the Beyond Skyrim team, and they have teachers and all that stuff to teach you all sorts of disciplines within the creation kit. Yes, thank you for linking it, Glitz. Okay, let's add some splashes here. Yeah, probably not a bad idea, that's true. Get in while it's fresh. Who knows, maybe you're gonna start, however it's gonna be called, but doing what we're doing with Skyblivion, but for Skyrim in Elder Scrolls 6. Somebody's gotta start it, right? That's true, yeah. Like this. Okay. Now let's add some beams here. Yes, I mean the not everywhere, obviously, only where there's sunlight. But when you put emittance on a light, unfortunately, the particular emittance I put in here is not it still needs to be set up right. So this is not the final, let's say, lighting. But for example, if I would set it to where I know it works, it's the Blackwood, for example. Sorry. Here, for example, so here you have the time. So in the morning, you know, you have this more red light, and then bright white light, and then you have this bluish night light. So that actually changes. That's a Skyrim feature that's very cool to use. But you probably didn't notice it that much because Skyrim just didn't have it in that many spots. But for example, if you go to Bleak Falls Barrow, in like the entrance hall, there you can really see it. Yeah, Skyrim it's old, but it really holds up in a lot of ways, and some of its features are just heavily underutilized or just couldn't be used as much back then. That would be cool if the moon actually had an influence on that as well. Who knows? Maybe the community shaders guys will someday add that as a feature. They seem to be doing all sorts of magic in that way. Okay, I think we are getting somewhere with our cave. It's also a really cool. So with the emittance, you can do a lot of things. You can also set it so lights actually turn off or on depending on whether it's day or night. So for example in castles we've made use of that, so I can maybe show you shortly afterwards Bruma Castle, like the entrance hall, which Heavy Burns made. Really cool castle. And there you have that really cool effect where at nighttime some lanterns turn on that aren't on and during the day. Super cool effect. Don't actually like this. Let's actually not put a black plane here and actually do it like this. Don't have to spend too much time here since you're not gonna be able to go there. Okay, I think I'm happy with like the first layout of this cave before cluttering it further. Another time I want to do some more work on the second cell. That'd be a very convoluted lore reason. Is the lore reason for the Skylight just that ravines happen to open when you're in a dungeon and close when you exit? I guess that would be a lore explanation, but for me it's just for me the explanation is just that the holes that you see out of are just in some remote part of the wilderness that you don't see on the exterior. Or like the imagination I always have is that dungeons are pretty much almost the actual size of what it would be in real life, whereas the exterior is very much compressed, right? Skyrim is supposed to be, I don't know, the size of Poland or something, or of like a US state or something, and in reality it's, you know, you can run across it in a couple of minutes. So yeah, for me it's just a bit of, you know, suspension of disbelief to just I don't really have to see the ravine from the outside. It's the same for me with the torches and whatnot being lit in abandoned old ruins. Unless it's like a wolf den or something, I don't need a lore explanation why a brazier is lit. It's just the rule of cool for me. Yes. I mean, partly glitz. The issues are fixed. You're gonna have to go in there and fix a bit of the cluttering, because Robert's fix did work now, but you know, it's still some stuff is floating, some stuff is apart, So you're probably gonna have to go in there and clean it up. But for the most part, it works. We're gonna have to do something about the stairs because they're too big now, but other than that. Yeah, it should be a quick fix. That's true. Okay, what did I want to do? Okay, let's actually put the first symbol. That we want. Okay, so this is the script for the puzzle. What is currently D? I always forget how these work. Oh, there it is. Okay. Initial state is 3 and its solve state is 2. Let me actually see what this means. So it's set on... I never know. Okay, I gotta go in there and look. No, let's do that another time. That's a bit boring actually to figure out the script. Let's do... What can we do? Let's maybe fix the skylight here. And so we're in the Great Forest. So we want to be surrounded by an actual forest. We want to have it from all sides. I love this tree model. Gotta be careful not to use this one, because we did have some mix-ups with the tree models. This is actually the tree model for the painted world, as you can see here. There's a painted tree. We don't want that in the actual. They're everywhere. Which one's not? Nope. Where's the red one? That one's not painted. Yeah, it has a the glow in the dark trees. Got ourselves a forest. Oh, you mean that you can see outside? Oh yeah, that's... But they're probably doing it because probably not by actually building the outside in the interior. They probably have a different solution, I'd be guessing, but... I see. By the way, I've been sometimes running Skyblivion with community shaders, and let me tell you, it looks absolutely incredible. So some areas would need, I don't know, it would need a bit of tweaking, but first time I tried it out, just running in the exterior with community shaders on, just floored me. Really, really good. Yeah, it really does. Do I have? Probably not. Gonna copy these again. There they are. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I was a while back before I was talking about the legacy boss fights. I wanted to kind of list of what those are gonna be. I think it's not completely finalized, and do bear in mind that legacy boss fights, what that means is very different for each boss. Sometimes it just means they get a cool introduction, or I don't know, maybe even just a different name. And sometimes it does mean that there's an actual mechanic But what are our bosses? So it's obviously Manmarco is a boss fight. Manka Cameron is a boss. Hinderil, if you've seen, it's been a while, but in 2023 we made a Halloween video. It's tied to the Vampire Cure quest, so he's like a vampire boss. Asani Blackheart is a boss. The Frostfire Atronach in Glade Lord, that's tied to the Tears of the Savior questline. That's also a boss. But I haven't done that boss fight yet. Neither have I done one for the Udafrikte Matron. Umbra is a boss. Umbacano is a boss once he turns into a lich. What else? The giant mud crab, the king of Lindai, the Sunken One. That's actually a pretty cool boss. And then there's a couple of smaller ones, but those are pretty much the big bads that whose boss fights are hopefully gonna be improved somewhat. Okay, I think at this point I will actually stop in the creation kit and just show you the stuff in game that I wanted to show you. To close it off. Okay, first I wanted to show you the emittance effect I was talking about, where if you set it so that lights can actually turn on and off depending on the time of day, which is really cool. Oh, there's something going on here. What the hell? Okay, apparently some wall got deleted. What the hell did Robert do? Okay, ignore that. But just look at the lights. So it's daytime, and if we have nighttime, suddenly we have some nice fires going on, which is very cool. I'm not sure if it's a plugin issue, because that's actually that's just deleted wall. There should be walls all over here. It's not even a room bound issue. Holy shit, that's love guards. What the hell is going on? What? What's going on? I think somebody from the quest department recently was working on I gotta do some screenshots here on the patrol, the guard patrols. Evidently there's more work to do. So we just witnessed an army. Okay, so Brumacast is a bit broken right now. So maybe go to somewhere else. What was it? Oh yeah, I can show you that one. Yeah, they're checking out the emittance. So because we were talking about legacy bosses. So this is the Sandstone Cavern. It's not completely done yet, but it's what's going on here? Something's not right. There we go. Yeah, that is true. I set it to 21. It's tied to the quest The Sunken One, where basically a villager believes that the Oblivion crisis is happening because some lost god that they worship is unhappy with them, so he goes to this cave in order to placate that god, but finds his untimely demise. And in Oblivion, it's basically just a generic Storm Atronach. We've upped him quite a bit. Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Ah, what am I saying? Of course you don't. We've got Nazim here. So, oh, that's gonna be kind of a riddle to actually get to the boss. I'm spoiling the riddle a bit, but you will need a certain spell to get through there. Not a certain spell, but a certain spell type, I guess. Yes, can't hear me. So this is the way the Sunken One actually appears, and we've actually took Mikhail, I think Storm Golem or something, because he's gracious enough to, you know, have all his mods to be used. He let us use them, so we took his Storm Golem and made that model into the Sunken One. So it's gonna be a lot cooler to fight him. And to close it off, the other boss, it's a very major one, is Marco. So for those of you who were here in the last two streams, we were working on Echo Cave, which is Marco's hideout. It's still not done. I have done some work in the meantime, and maybe I can quickly run through it again. Show you the progress that's been done, and maybe some of you haven't seen it yet, so might be a good time to see that. So the first cell of Marco's Echo Cave is pretty much done, apart from enemy from the enemy placement, but level design is pretty much done. So since the last time I also did some major work on this ruined tower, I guess, in the middle of the dungeon. So cluttered it a bit, and also now you actually get a chance to walk up to the upper floors, which is not cluttered yet, by the way. Maybe Glitz will actually do that one for me. Ooh, nice. Yeah, can actually get up there now. As you can see, still some seams to fix and holes to plug. House of Tesla. Oh, you were. I think you mentioned that one. Is that like a puzzle game? Oh, nice. So did some nice progression on the second cell since the last time as well. So now the it's a lot more imposing, the entrance to the first stage of the Manamarco boss fight. And in the last stream we actually implemented the script of the Manamarco boss fight. And because I say first stage, actually, because Manamarco is like an enemy boss fight, he gets 2 stages. So you defeat him the first time, but he comes back again. So only the first part is pretty much done. And what we implemented is basically when you attack him, he has a chance to spawn up to 3 skeletal minions that will aid him during the fight. Should probably think it doesn't work otherwise. Spawning out of the ground. There's no nav here obviously, so all of this doesn't work perfectly. And when you kill 1 or 2 of his skeletons, he can summon more of them. And they die with him as well. And once you defeat him the first time, it's gonna be an effect, and there's gonna be some change to the scenery, which will allow you to progress further to the second stage, which also had some updates since the last time, but not much. But yeah, it's gonna be Manamarco's actual castle. And with that, I hope you had a nice time. I enjoyed it very much. Hope you tune in next time. I have no idea when that's gonna be, but I do try to stream maybe once every 1 or 2 weeks, because it is a lot of fun. So yeah, have a good night everyone, and see you next time.